Today on the Topic Show, Matt Walsh reacts to New York City socialist mayoral candidate being elected by the Democrats. Liver King is arrested for making threats against Joe Rogan. Libs at TikTok lists the New York City socialist mayoral candidate's policies. It goes viral. The Lexus LFR supercar is spotted. Toyota is rating some of their prices. And Polaris, well, they're recalling some of their ROVs. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT, value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see your founder at least twice a day. Guess he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, see that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase, with Picatinny rail adapters so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button and tell your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Lexus LFR supercar sighted being tested in California. Now this is brought to us thanks to Adrian, who's a writer at motor1.com, in which they say, quote, spotted the new Lexus LFR supercar caught testing in California. It appears the Lexus prototype will be benchmarked against the previous generation AMG GT. And here you can see the rear of the new LFA replacement, which is going to be the LFR, which looks much more angular and a lot, looks like it's squatting a little bit lower than the previous supercar or halo car from Toyota, which again, they own Lexus. Now, Adrian says, quote, it's been over 3 years since Toyota unveiled the GT3 concept to preview a future race car. Since then, our sister site motorsport.com has reported a street legal version with the Lexus badge in the works. Fast forward to mid-2025, and production model is still a no-show. That said, we are getting giddy with excitement every time a prototype is spotted being tested on public roads. A new spy video shows a road-going model going out and about in California. Shared in an Instagram by veteran journalist Johnny Lieberman. The original footage was recorded from inside a BMW M5 Touring on Angeles Crest. Shows what reports suggest is being called the Lexus LFR, a low-slung performance machine was in good company. It appears the Lexus was benchmarking the prototype against a previous generation Mercedes AMG GT. The two coupes were accompanied by a current generation Toyota Sequoia equipped with power extended low-tone mirrors. The SUV in front of the fleet was also a Sequoia. Scrolling down here, you can see this.
Look at that. That's the new Lexus. I don't know what they're going to call it, but Lexus is making like a, well, you can see, an AMG GT slash kind of 911 turbo competitor. I'm trying to keep up with these dudes. They've got it boxed in by two Toyotas, front and center, so I can't get, I mean, I could illegally jump behind it, but I'm not doing that. But look at that, there it is. That's pretty cool. Here we go. Look at that.
It does look pretty cool. I like that. And certainly, I mean, they say it's a spy video. I mean, it's one of those things where I can't help but think 99% of these instances are planned by the manufacturer to drum up interest. I mean, it's brilliant having the AMG GT in front of the Lexus. Because again, I mean, I suspect it's the same people on the group. And I'm pretty sure it's just to suggest that, hey, this is the car that we are, doing the benchmark against. This is what we see as competition. Our car is going to be better than that car. And there's one way that could actually make the Lexus supercar better than the AMG GT. You know what I'm going to say? Give it 3 pedals, also known as a manual transmission. Again, the AMG GT is a marvel of engineering. It's one of the coolest things Mercedes makes. It makes me smile ear to ear when I see one at the track being used as intended. It's awesome. Very rare. Most of them are pavement queens, but really cool vehicle. Unfortunately, a glorious V8 is paired with a very advanced, but I would argue boring, automatic transmission. And again, when you look at why was the LFA not as exciting and not as iconic as it could be, again, it was a commercial flop when it came out. Dealers, they collected copious amounts of dust out of the dealerships. A lot of the owners of the dealerships actually bought them just to kind of bail Lexus out, so to say, or, make it look like it wasn't that bad. And for years, they were selling under MSRP. It wasn't until much more recently the Lexus LFA is being more appreciated, and now they're being sold for over $1 million, which I find is comically expensive. mean, if you have $1 million, I think a much better vehicle would be the Porsche Carrera GT, which is much more of an analog machine. It does have a V10 as well. However, the Porsche Carrera GT only comes with a stick shift, also known as manual transmission, which I would argue every true car, every sports enthusiast car really has to have or should have by default. I know I'm in the minority with that take, but that's just my 3 cents. So that's one way off the bat that can make this a really iconic vehicle and really garner some appreciation from the enthusiasts and people who are really going to want to buy it, I think. Now, they say that, quote, the LFR is going to look great even when it's being camouflaged. Prototype is turning heads. Noticeably, it's missing the larger rear wing previously seen in another test car. That air element may be reserved for a hardcore track-focused version, or it could be part of an optional package. You can tell the suspension is stiff from how the car bounces over even slight road imperfections, and that's how the cookie crumbles with dedicated sports cars. Why is Lexus testing against the AMG GT? The new LFR is also expected to feature a front-mounted twin-turbo V8. Ugh. Not obviously that's glorious. However, it says, albeit with a hybrid twist. Oh, come on. Toyota and Lexus, you have such potential. And you go, yeah, we're going to make it a hybrid, which will make it a pain in the ass to, good luck maintaining that for decades when you have a battery that's obsolete in a couple of years and you're not going to be able to source you're not going to be able to source that. Oh, why you got to ruin a good thing, Lexus? I understand you sell a lot of hybrids. It's one of their fastest growing segments of the whole portfolio, but still, this is supposed to be a halo car that brings people excitement to the brand. Now, they say after-box second generation model was also extra electrified as well, but the AMG GT seen in the footage was the original, purely combustion-powered version. The upcoming Japanese rival boasts sexy proportions with a wide body, lending it to an exotic presence to match the Mercedes. The fact that Lexus is benchmarking the AMG GT suggests it's setting the bar high for the LFR. However, it doesn't expect to be a direct successor to the Lexus LFA, as the same model is likely to slot lower in the lineup. As a result, it should be slightly undercut the LFA's $375,000 price tag. A well-informed guess would place it around $150,000, especially considering the RCF already hovers around 6 figures. For reference, the least expensive AMG GT with a V8 is the GT55 at $138,700. Mercedes also offers two flavors at $195,000. I don't know who's buying this. The hybrid GT63 SE Performance, which I don't want to say F- for marketing, but would have a long, complicated name. Though, granted, I don't have much ground to stand on. My name is Topping. But they also say, and the track-ready GT63 Pro. This Toyota and Lexus have been testing their new cars for years. We're hoping they'll be revealed sometime sooner rather than later. The race car is expected to compete in WEC in 2026, so the wait should nearly be over. Now, a lot of the comments below say that, most likely going to have front engine layout. True supercars, have engines in the back or the mid, which, for handling that is usually optimal. And it will be interesting to see is this a commercial success? Does this actually sell? Or like the LFA will actually collect a lot of dust at the dealership lots. I think because of the lower price point with this car, or, we should say suspected price point, I think it'll sell a lot better and more quickly than the LFA. And again, they have that weird stuff put on the car so you can't quite tell. It kind of obfuscates the shape a little bit. But from what we could see, it does look kind of neat. It looks kind of interesting. Let me know if you think this will be a commercial success. Do you think it'll actually be a good old V8? Or will they do the hybrid thing with Jig? Let me know the thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, Toyota increasing their prices. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Jeff Perez, who's a writer at Motor1.com, in which he says, quote, Toyota prices are going up. Toyota prices will increase by $270 beginning in July, while Lexus prices will jump by $208. With, again, Lexus being, the luxury part of the Toyota family. Well, they only have 2 brands. It's a very small but tight family. Here you see the iconic, it is iconic. It's not a fun car, but it's the Toyota Camry. Though, again, in terms of cars that are the most popular cars in history, that would be Toyota Corolla by number of units sold. Now, they say, quote, are you in the market for a new Toyota? Better get to the dealership soon. Toyota will begin hiking prices for its vehicle by average of $270 beginning in July. According to Automotive News, these latest price increases aren't in response to the President Trump's 25% tariff on imported vehicles and auto parts. The company's spokesman said it was simply part of a regular review of prices. Lexus buyers won't be off the hook for additional costs either. for Toyota's luxury brand are expected to increase by an average of $208 in July. They say that Toyota and tariffs, even though the company denies that these are the latest price increases due to the response to tariffs. In May, Toyota Motor North America Chief Operating Officer Mark Templeton said that the President Trump's plan would result in higher prices and more expensive repair parts build. They said, that being said, a report from Reuters suggests that Toyota is considering moving production of the nearest RAV4 to the U.S. rather than importing them from Canada and Japan. Toyota produced the outgoing RAV4 in Kentucky, Canada, and Japan, but could keep production of the next generation model in Kentucky. The Toyota RAV4 is the best-selling SUV in the U.S. last year and the fourth best-selling vehicle overall, with more than 475,000 units being sold. Also, that car prices are going up. Toyota is not the only automaker expected to increase prices this year. BMW has already announced that it will start hiking prices in July in direct response to Trump's tariffs. Some models increasing their prices as much as $2,500. BMW did offer a temporary quote-unquote price protect program for the 2 Series and 3 Series models going through April. Volkswagen also plans to increase prices in July after announcing pre-tariff prices through June. The Jetta sedan and Taco's SUV, I'm obviously butchering that pronunciation, which are both produced in Mexico, are expected to be hit hardest by the price increases next month. Other brands like Ford, Subaru, and Volvo already raised the prices on their vehicles by some models as much as $2,000. Which, again, with this being literally a couple $100, I actually do believe the articles noting that Toyota is saying this is not direct response to the tariffs. Because again, tariffs are 25%. It's a couple $100. That's not even close to being that the percentage increase from the tariffs. So I think they literally are just taking into account inflation and doing the regular yearly increase of cost of goods sold to the consumer. And again, relatively speaking, a couple $100 compared to the price point of vehicles being $25,000 plus, that's pretty negligible. So I don't think this will actually have any impact on their sales. But it's still unfortunate that, again, the prices are increasing. And let me know, do you think this will actually have a dent in their sales? I mean, let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have Matt Walsh reacting to New York City new socialist mayor. Well, I should clarify, the mayoral candidate elected by the Democrat Party. Now, this is coming to us thanks to Matt Walsh on his X profile, hashtag the Matt Walsh blog. And he says, quote, America First candidate from Uganda, who's been a citizen for less than a decade and according to his own mother, doesn't consider himself to be an American at all. Oh, and he wants to deliberately destroy his own community for the sake of, quote, queer liberation and socialism. Very odd definition of American First. It's almost like you're totally full of shit, unquote. And this guy, well, not as viral as Matt's usual responses, getting 119,000 views and 1.4 thousand likes, which, yeah, this is probably a very controversial candidate in terms of the history of New York City. Though, again, in terms of, it's obviously not controversial because in regards to a Democrat, getting elected again, or most likely to be elected in November when the actual election is. I mean, Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1 in New York City. I mean, if I were a gambling man, I'm not. But yeah, I'd put my money on Zohran to win, which, again, I'm probably butchering his name, albeit not completely intentional. Now, going to the comments, one of the first ones comes to us thanks to anti-woke memes or anti-woke memes saying communism. And it's a picture of a hammer sickle, but it's in the pride color and the trans color saying, quote, world class unity and queer liberation gained 17 likes. Atticus Fitch says, quote, he moved to South America when he was 5, in New York when he was 7. He's an American and is any natural born citizen. Gained 5 likes and 7 comments. Were they contrarian? Did they ratio him? No, they did not. People said LMFAO, but they did not get more likes than him himself. Scroll down more. First class clip says, your boss advocates for these people, LOL. And this is a clip from Ben Shapiro in 2017. I'm not sure if this has been doctored, but it appears to be a screenshot. And Ben Shapiro is saying, quote, and by the way, I don't give a good damn. I'm pretty sure it's a typo. I don't give a good damn about so-called browning of America. Color doesn't matter. Ideology does. Getting 217 likes. Mr. Pitbull, though I do not suspect it's the rapper, since, well, unless he has a disproportionate amount of time in his hands to tweet. Now he says, quote, people wonder how New York City could elect a candidate who wants to enact un-American policies like abolish the NYPD, abolish prisons, ban on guns, legalize sex work, ban ICE. But it makes sense because 40% of New York City is foreign-born. Democrats imported the voters they needed, getting 20 likes, which, yeah, of all the heinous tweets that Zohran has had throughout the years, yeah, I can't help but think saying they want to ban guns is probably one of his biggest red flags. Some person says, quote, the others are blatantly Israeli first. He is not. That's why he won, getting 63 likes. which is, I think, one of the top comments, which every other Democrat during the primary said that, they asked him which foreign country they visit first, and he was the only one who said, I would stay local and I would visit all the boroughs in New York City. Every other mayoral candidate, again, this is a Democrat primary, did say they visit Israel first, which is what he's referencing to theirs. Anti-left memes says, quote, Democrats are so dumb. There's a King says, quote, I'm the dumbest man alive. And there's someone standing Queers for Palestine. And King gives over the crown and says, you're clearly dumber. And 29 likes. Sam White says, quote, imagine thinking that a communist from Uganda and India who got his citizenship less than 7 years ago is American first. In 16 likes. Israel says, quote, Zohran Mamdani promises to begin uranium enrichment in New York City once elected, getting 17 likes. Tom V says, quote, the choice is now between America first and Israel first, getting 29 likes. Oh, this person got 121 likes. Let's see. Blakely LLC is responding to Ted Cruz's tweet. Now, Ted Cruz says, quote, I came to the Senate committee to be the leading defender of Israel, and I'm proud to have the support of groups like AIPAC and the American Jewish community who advocate on behalf of a close U.S.-Israel relationship. The obsession over American Jewish partnerships and policies has to stop. Now, Mr. Blakely LLC responded saying, quote, girl, shut up. The leaders of your party literally admit that they went into Congress just to defend Israel. Take several effing seats. Now, that got 121 likes. The last true Roman says, quote, he's an Islamist that dresses up his anti-Semitism as America first based on his Israel views. He should be deported, getting 8 likes. Sarah Ninja says, quote, he actually cares more about New Yorkers / Americans than Ben Shapiro and the Mossad agent, getting 5 likes. Let's see here. The Vault has a meme of Hillary Clinton saying, quote, Jeffrey Epstein's upcoming suicide will be a shock to Bill and I. Bill and I have decided to leave the country for some time to recover, getting 3 likes. And I guess I should clarify. Hillary Clinton is a very beautiful, intelligent woman who has not had a disproportionate amount of people around her commit suicide, 20 plus people. And she's definitely not a criminal or evil or anything like that. And I just want to coincidentally also clarify, I plan to live a long, healthy life and do not own any rope. Just coincidentally want to throw that out there. You also have Tony, let's see here, and Harvey. Harvey says, kind of sounds like you're obsessed, getting 1 like. The American Culturalist says, beware of foreign influence. And he's kind of narcissistic. He's reposting his repost. He's reposting himself. And he says, New York City just elected a Muslim socialist who was born in Uganda as the de facto mayor, getting 7 likes. Zohan Group says, quote, or parody account. Well, he even puts that in his own description. Now he says, quote, sorry, why do you pay so much attention to brown grifters when we have a massive infiltration problem on the right, getting 25 likes? It looks like Matt's about 50-50 on this one. He was overdue for a comeback, so today he was ratio pretty rough earlier this week. Padamatis says, quote, stop working for Ben, getting 10 likes. Which, yeah, Matt Walsh is the only isolationist at the Daily Wire right now. I can't but think he's the biggest outlier in terms of being different from the groupthink at the Daily Wire. I do wonder how long he'll be there, or if he might be pushed out soon. But that might be a good question for the comments. Do you think Matt Walsh will be with the Daily Wire much longer? Do you think he'll go on his own? I mean, you already had a couple gals push out of the Daily Wire, famously Candace Owens, then later Brett Cooper. Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the Liver King arrested for making threats against Joe Rogan. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Colin Rugg. Well, she says, quote, Liver King was arrested for traveling to Austin, Texas after making threats against Joe Rogan on social media. Brian Johnson faces charges of terroristic threats. Johnson has seen all fours likely... What? Johnson was seen on all fours like a monkey in a video posted shortly before he traveled to Austin. Johnson said he was coming for Rogan to demand that the two fight. According to the APD, detectives contacted Mr. Rogan, who stated he had never had any interaction with Johnson and considered the post to be threatening. Liver King is famous for his primal diet, where he eats foods including liver and testicles, but recently admitted to taking steroids. Which, yeah, the guy's like comically jacked. Like, anyone can get in pretty good shape and get a six-pack if you just work hard, put in the work and eat a proper diet. But this guy's muscles are so comically overly defined, it's a parody. And, in his arrest picture, he does not look great. Though, at least he does have a pretty good beard. You can see the police officer arresting him in his really comical looking sweatpants and a sweatshirt. How do you know they made red sweatpants? Yellow people will buy it.
Anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening. We're coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a fight. Honorable.
Yeah,
and we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're going to need to remember that feeling. You're going to need something more than what you did to give you something to fight for, because I have my family to fight for. And I'll die for them, you know that. And you're a black belt, but you've never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out. I pray to God, because that's a dream come true. It feels good. And then the limbs, I'm fighting for my family. So limb.
What?
Go ahead. But then you have to contend with something else. And I weigh 177 pounds, an actual savage. And so at first you're like, fuck that guy. And right? When you all of a sudden he did get your attention, which I already did before this, you're saying, I'm going to choke that motherfucker, that piece of fucking shit. I'm going to choke him out. That's what warriors do. You and Andrew Tate are good warriors. But you're actually better than that. Real tension we have. Comedy that you do is good and true. We have real tension. But what I see in you is comedy is good and true. Touch points. Well, people laugh. If we don't make fun of them at their expense, they laugh. You should all make fun of me.
I'll be sure to work with.
You should all make fun of me at my expense. Trust me, that it still works, and then you should get paid for it. And let's go. Because we're leaving. We're going to Austin. What was my very last point?
That we're gonna kick Joe Rogan's ass.
The real G said it. It's my speech. Justin Fitz.
Yeah. It's funny because this guy wants attention so bad. Campbell think he wanted to get arrested. He was, what was it, a year and a half ago or something like that, when the controversy first broke in terms of him buying steroids to copiously increase his muscle mass. Yeah, apparently he went to up to one of Joe Rogan's bodyguards at a show and was trying to get on the Joe Rogan show, which is, obviously, famously, you don't get on the show by asking, let alone going up to one of Joe Rogan's bodyguards and insisting on it. Now, apparently this POS is making $100 million per month selling bullcrap supplements. Ridiculous. Which, spoiler alert, Joe Rogan has also got sued for having supplements and making certain claims that, spoiler alert, you're not supposed to make about supplements. So this guy's like Joe Rogan on steroids, I guess, pun intended. Because, yeah, this guy, I'm sure you'll have pictures of him, but yeah, he's not natural. And he also is spending $11,000 apparently per month on steroids, which I didn't even know they were that damn expensive. Jeez Louise. Now, this went pretty valid. Got 4.3 million views, as well as only 18,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman, who simply says, mentally ill, ? And Colorado responded saying, quote, fame, money, and power corrupt the soul. Steroids and cow balls don't help either. Getting 1,000 likes. Now, you also have NLIV conservative commentary saying, quote, anabolic steroid users often use estrogen blockers. These drugs can have severe neurological side effects on their users, getting 1.6 thousand likes. Kyle Ruck says, a natural life is the best life, getting 845 likes, which, again, yeah, there's when you pump yourself full of that many steroids and doing that many things to your body, there's going to be side effects. And this is him without a shirt on, which I guess maybe on the upside to taking all the steroids is maybe he saved money on his laundry bill, because everywhere he would go, he did not wear a shirt. So I'm sure that does decrease your laundry bill, so perhaps that's an upside. Now, you also have Autism Capital saying, quote, what a crash out this guy has had. Perhaps eating bull balls and raw meats while taking God knows how many flavors of steroids and sketchy supplements can do something to a psyche. He 999 likes. Ooh, now 1,000 after. We liked it. Colin Rugg says, quote, yeah, he ain't right. Hoping he can recover. Well, let's see here.
Man to man, I'm picking a fight with you. Yeah. I have zero training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt.
Nothing says douche like a gold-plated EOTech site. Gold plating in general I find quite poor taste unless it's a greatly historical firearm. But yeah, he's got a gold-plated EOTech sight on top of his gold-plated an AR-10 or AR-15. We'll get back in the picture. We'll be able to tell in a second.
You should dismantle me. But I'm picking a fight with you. Your rules. Whatever you want me to weigh, I'll weigh it. I weighed 190 this morning. I'll come to you whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready to go. I'm on a vibration plate, by the way. That's what I'm capable of.
AR-15. Got my Skinner magazine. I think that's a gold-plated semi-auto 12 gauge. With another gold-plated EOTech sight. Again, EOTech makes a great product. Don't get me wrong, but you're gold-plating a sight, which I'm pretty sure that costs more than the sight in and of itself. Also, spoiler alert, I mean, the reason why the AR-15 is so popular, one of the contributing factors to why it's so popular, is it's mostly aluminum. Aerospace aluminum, if you want to sound fancy, but they don't weigh a lot. So it's kind of funny he's holding these guns as if they're heavy. They're certainly not heavy, especially for someone with his muscle mass.
That's pretty entertaining, right? But the value is the principle. You can't pick a fight with a real king and then expect there not to be an actual fight, bro. The liar king, yeah. You can call me all those names, but the minute my family is received an expected aversion less than what they earn because of the fucking Untold Truth movie, you're a liar, Netflix. Joe Rogan, who directed the movie, you're a liar too, you come back. Joe Rogan, you're not a liar. You're actually good and fucking true. A wolf, you're not really. A king, not yet, about to be. But you're good and true, and I'm picking a fight with you. I bet you $1 million. Whoever fucking wins the fight between you and me, whoever wins, donates.
Yeah, and I'm not a gambling man. However, if I were, I'd put all my money on Joe Rogan. Because he actually trains martial arts. And yeah, his knowledge base and skill sets are infinitely more than a guy who just lifts heavy objects and yells and eats liver and other things. And again, he's holding the guns by the barrels too. I guess the upside of his video is, in comparison, I sound quite articulate and intelligent in comparison to the Liver King. You actually might be grateful to watch this on the YouTube where they usually take out the music, because that was pretty cringe music as well. Now, that got 507 likes. Going back, you also have the base electrician saying, quote, "The Liver King's all-natural supplements appear to be bloating effect recently." I don't know if that's photoshopped or not, but it's a picture of Liver King with a bloated belly getting 7 likes. C says, quote, "Dude, Stair strength is not even close to Jiu-Jitsu black belt strength, getting 206 likes." Alrug says, "Someone who knows Jiu-Jitsu will beat strength every day of the week," getting 108 likes. Yep. Heisenberg says, quote, "Steroids will do that to you," getting 165 likes. Junita Broderick says, quote, "I guess I'm the only one who has no idea or no clue who the Liver King is," getting 609 likes. Alrug responded, saying, quote, He was a really interesting story. He blew up very quickly. A new movie about him recently came out on Netflix. He used to be just a normal guy." I was going to say, not all the times, but many times the beard makes a man, so to say. Yeah, he looks so, well, because you're used to seeing him with a beard, he looks so weird without the beard, kind of like probably me. He got 571 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, "It's ridiculous that people think they can make these threats and get away with them. Just choose peace," getting 16 likes. Pete Balls on the Wall FSD says, "Amazing how childish some grown men are," getting 68 likes. Yep. Alrug says, quote, "Traveling to Austin, Texas to fight a guy who barely thinks about you is a wild move," getting 161 likes. 5 Ether says, quote, "I met him at UFC 300. He was right up front, super friendly and full of energy. He talked about his raw liver diet and how it changed his life. Huge UFC fan, but seriously, what in the world happened to him?" Getting 84 likes. Kyle Rocksuper says, "I think it's pretty simple. Fame," getting 56 likes, which, yeah, I always have that theory or have that idea. It's not very unique to me. A lot of people say money doesn't change you, just magnifies who you are. I can't but think for many people, fame would have a similar effect. You also have Frozen saying, quote, as soon as this guy turns 65, Jake Paul might have a new opponent to fight, getting 62 likes. Andrew Tate says, quote, he says my name too. Yes, Bucharest is too far, getting 2.8 thousand likes. Pumpkin Batman says, quote, this guy has serious brain damage. His pupils aren't the same size. I'm not sure if that's indicative of brain damage, but it does look weird. Some might argue weirder than me, which is saying something. They got 40 likes. Leon says, Simpsons predicted it circa 2003. There's a very jacked guy with a spear, and it says Austin. Then there's a little wrestler guy with tattoo sleeves that's supposed to look like Joe Rogan, getting 24 likes. Old school Eddie says, quote, I would bet that guy is more than just steroids. Just look at his eyes. He's way up there. Crazy Sale, getting 53 likes. War Death says he looks like a little kid. Got to be 5'5" tops, getting 76 likes. Which again would explain his relative low weight compared to what he looks like in terms of muscle density. Other bodybuilders that have, I would argue that have similar composition of muscle mass compared to their frame, they're taller, weigh a lot more. You also have Western Lensman saying, quote, questioning if cowballs and roids is ideal for mental health, getting 45 likes. Julie Hamill says, quote, what medical condition causes one pupils to be totally dilated and the other to be normal, getting 128 likes. Cartier Family says, quote, dude, I thought he was going to disrespect the King of Austin and get away with it, getting 21 likes. Old Crow says, quote, this is some weak, cowardly stuff. There was no crime that occurred, so it is just Rogan being a pussy, or not. It was a pussy move. It's cowardly, getting 26 likes. Which, again, I'm guessing in terms of legality, they're going to argue that he was holding a firearm. So it'll be interesting to see if actual charges are brought up against him and how that plays out in court. You could argue he was challenging him to a fight, but also going to him. I'd be interested to see how this plays out in court. I mean, obviously, in court of public opinion, everyone thinks, he's crazy and moronic. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Let me know, do you think he'll actually get charged with anything? Do you think he'll be in jail for a while? I actually suspect this is maybe all just planned out as a publicity stunt because he started to fade away in terms of his popularity. But let me know your thoughts because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Libs at TikTok on the New York City socialist mayoral candidate policies, Mr. Zohran. Well, that's probably not how you pronounce his name, but I will. Now, this again brought to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, and she says, quote, Democrat nominee for New York City mayor, which again, he actually won the nomination. He is now their forerunner, and considering Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1 in New York City, I can't help but think there's a very high propensity that he will win. Though again, I'm not a gambling man. Now, this is a tweet from Zohran Mamdani, which, again, I don't have much ground to stand on in terms of weird names and names topping, but this is a tweet from him from 2020, in which he said, quote, we will support existing recreational legislation that will, quote, end cash bail, repeal the walking while trans ban, decriminalize sex work, legalize marijuana, permit safe injection sites, restrict solitary confinement, enact elder parole, re-enfranchise incarcerate, can't pronounce things today. Which again, you should just click that subscribe button. When I first started the show, no subscribers, well, maybe my family. And I spoke faster than Ben Shapiro and more awkwardly than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. But as I slowly but surely gain more subscribers, I become more articulate. Most people might argue that it's just a modicum improvement, but I would argue, statistically speaking, an improvement nevertheless. Which fuels my theory, the more subscribers I get, the better I speak, and will someday make it through an entire episode speaking perfectly, articulately, and fluently someday. So again, if you click that button, tell your friends, tell your enemies, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, again, he wants to also re-enfranchise incarcerated New York Cityers or New Yorkers. He also says he wants to decriminalize simple drug possession, repeal all mandatory minimum sentences. Jesus. He also wants to reduce maximum sentences with retroactive effect, repeal felony bump-up statutes, repeal sentencing enhancement, and cooperation with ICE. Which, hey, sounds like, makes sense that he would win the Democrat nominee. He's as Democrat as they get. Now, this also got 2.5 million views and 28,000 likes. With one of the first comments come to us thanks to Democrat Media TM saying, quote, rest in peace to New York City. And there's an AI-generated picture of Mr. Zohran getting 2.2 thousand likes, looking more effeminate than usual. You also have Nick Sorter saying, quote, The fact we're granting Islamic communist citizenship in our country shows how freaking broken our immigration system is. He should have never been here in the first place. Getting 5.7 thousand likes, which, yeah, I think that's and again, not all immigrants, but I do think that is a cultural shift that we've seen in terms of lack of assimilation and lack of sharing of our founding fathers' values. Also have Paul Zazupa saying, quote, his policies will ruin New York City. It's inevitable, getting 204 likes, which is actually a fascinating thing. Just when you think Democrats have destroyed a city, that gets worse. I mean, look at the city of Chicago. I'm sure just like Detroit, they'll be good next year. Haha, football pun and political pun and quality of life pun. Every year I'm told they'll get better, and every year, they actually get worse. You also have Libercrat Media Tam saying, quote, so everything that destroys the city, got it, getting 166 likes. Roger Stone says, quote, New York will burn to the ground while average citizens are murdered in the streets. That is what you voted for, New York. Enjoy. Getting 2.1 thousand likes. Gumby says, quote, Gumby. I was going to say, Gumby is MAGA first. I'm only partially kidding. It is Gumby, the old cartoon from back in the day, and his profile says, MAGA first responder, don't ask me if I'm real, I will block you, no DM. Gumby. He's back in the cultural lexicon. Now he says, quote, he forgot to mention Sharia law, getting 621 likes. Dark Pool Felony says, quote, transformation of the Democrat Party since 2009. And before 2009, the logo was the donkey. It says before Obama. It says after Obama, the donkey becomes a camel. It says Islamocrats, getting 370 likes. Emeka says, quote, this guy's a certified psychopath. New York is absolutely the third world cooked if Adam doesn't prevail. I can't believe liberal women who constantly scream about their rights being taken away are retarded enough to vote for an idiot like this. JK, I can. Getting 929 likes, which is fascinating to see. The way women vote is quite the antithesis of what they say they want. It is quite fascinating. Yeah, they're voting for Sharia law, voting for mass migration against people who want to put them in turbans and restrict their rights. Right, not erotic. Now, you also, I'm not sure, but they did a similar thing in the UK. It hasn't gotten too bad up there. Oh wait, I also have Spiky saying, quote, these policies are exactly how you destroy a city from within inside. This dude has no interest in making New York City a successful city. He intends to destroy it, getting 1.2 thousand likes. 1.3 maybe? No, but still 1.2. Politically motivated, rather, says, quote, let us pray New York City mayor wins another term. Keep this lunatic far away from any form of power in your biggest city. 294 likes. Truth versus Left says, quote, Democrats are just doubling down on hating everyone, getting 378 likes. This is a perfect meme, or as I call them, memes, because it sounds fancier, like a Porsche compared to Porsche. Though I do own a Honda, which is even cooler. But nevertheless, he says, quote, New York soon. It's a white liberal woman crying. Says, I don't feel safe in my own neighborhood. And the based trad guy says, you literally voted for this. Yep. Getting 403 likes. Let's see. Maverick says, quote, Zohran Mamdani just dropped the official crime welcome package. And bail, legalize heroin shooting at galleries, decriminalize sex trafficking zones, let violent offenders vote from prison, gut sentencing laws, block ICE from deporting criminals. Because at this point, he's not running for political office. He's running a crime syndicate policy lab with a flower emoji. This isn't just justice reform. It's a blueprint to collapse society from within. Because of Zohran's world, criminals are victims, cops are villains, laws are optional. New York deserves handcuffs, not just not for the criminals, or the politicians enabling them. Getting 999 likes, 1,000 likes. Bill Wild says, quote, WTF is permit safe injection sites, like a designated area to shoot up, unquote. Yep, yes, it is. Shitties are in areas like Oregon, tried that. Not just a shitty trail over there that a lot of people do die on. Rest in peace from dysentery, which, if you don't get that reference from the video game, I'll be sorely disappointed. But yeah, there are actually many cities, mostly in California, where they actually have these permit safe injection sites. Basically, you show up, do your drugs, they, no questions asked, and they give you free needles that are clean. Which, yeah, exactly how you contribute to the destruction of society. Going down more and more. R says, wow, New York is going to go full retard, getting 165 likes. West Coast Life says, New York City Dems looked at Portland and said, we need to have that here. Getting 148 likes. Yep. And Liz says, quote, yes, he's a radical socialist, pro-big government, pro-criminal racist. He's been a citizen less than 8 years and has zero allegiances to America or New York. Getting 368 likes. So, we'll see if he gets elected. And again, it's months away. But I mean, with those types of policies, would you want to live in New York or New York City? I mean, shoot, I know I wouldn't, but let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Polaris recalling some of their fancy vehicles. Now, this is brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, though granted that it is a low bar. And they say, quote, Polaris recalls Ranger XP Kinetic and Pro XD Kinetic recreation off-highway vehicles, or ROVs, due to, whoops, a fire hazard. Here, good to see those fancy little toys there, though. I do understand some of them are used for farm equipment, so if it's a tax deduction and you need it for business, I can understand why you would buy it. Though, as an individual, it's not my thing. Now, they say this is affecting the model year 2023 to 2024 Ranger XP Kinetic and model year 2025 Pro XD Kinetic ROVs. Now, the issue is water can leak through a cracked filter into ROV's high voltage charging harness components and cause a short circuit, posing a fire, which, yeah, I don't know how do you cheap out on a cracked filter? Jeez Louise. Now, they noted this will affect 4,900 ROVs and 185 accessory charger service part kits, in addition to 330 that were sold in Canada. Now, there's the injuries. It appears that, they've already had at least some incidents. Now, they say, quote, the firm has received 47 reports of filter failures with the recalled ROVs, including 6 reports of melting and fire and 4 reports of smoking and sparking. Thankfully, though, no injuries have been reported. Well, let's be honest, have been reported yet. Now, this is what boggles my mind. These were sold at Polaris dealerships nationwide from April 2023 to March 2025 for between $24,000 and $37,500 before the extortion tax, aka registration fee tax. It's more than my Honda Civic Si, and I love my Honda, and it's a car that can actually use for work in the track. Well, granted, it's not very fast in a straight line, but still, it can be used at the track. These are more expensive than a car, and they somehow cheaped out on a filter that can crack and cause it to burst into flames. Now, granted, I know the odds are that's not going to happen at great frequency, and no one's been injured. These were manufactured I was about to say in America. Minnesota, kind of America. Some might debate, not really. They were actually, that's where they're headquartered. It is the recall number 25-343. And I can't imagine having a recall for such an expensive vehicle. And again, compared to a car, this has much less components. So in theory, it'd be easier to have quality assurance. And considering this is an integral part or, item in their portfolio over at Polaris, to have something where it can, literally melt and burst into flames and spark, and it costs more than a car, gotta say, Polaris, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comments. Great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. And lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.